I'm delighted to have as a guest today Rainer Frotscher, who is most people have titles, Rainer. Okay, they have titles like vice president of or director of, and your title is senior expert for insulating liquids and gases and tap changers. That is the longest expert title I've ever heard. But that's what you are, and you've been doing this for how long with MR with Reinhausen?
I'm now with Reinhausen for 36 years.
36 years is a long time to be an expert in technical. Tell me a little bit about your background. Why did you have a chem degree or a chemical engineering?
No, I'm an electrical engineer with my favorite subject on high voltage engineering. That's what I studied in Munich. And after my studies, I came here to Rheinhausen, and I found a very good environment to develop tap changers and to do calculations, and really did deep dives in numerical field calculations, project studies, and on how tap changers interact with the insulating liquids. And then over the years, this developed into my favorite subject. And the chemical knowledge, that it was just learned by doing.
There's a gentleman named Dan Martin that you worked with. Here's a quote about you from Dan Martin. Rainer knows absolutely everything to know about tap changers. So everything to know. So you're going to be our tap changer expert. I'm going to add some more to your title, not just in insulating fluids, but on the tap changers as a whole. Let's get to where we are right now, because I find it interesting and your insights into the changes in all of the addition of a lot of synthetic esters, natural esters, even changes in mineral oils, because all of the mineral oil manufacturers are making changes to the naphthenic, and nothing stays the same. And the fact that tap changers need to be looked at specifically when it comes to fluids. Talk about what the current situation is as it relates to oils and fluids and these new products.
Yeah, the current situation is that many new liquids are entering the market. There are new synthetic esters and a bunch of new natural esters, plus the further developed so-called mineral oils, with the GTL oils and oils made from renewable hydrocarbons. And they are all entering the market, and they are all a little bit different, and they are very local. So every country tries to develop their own liquids for reasons I don't know, but we have the problem to approve them all. Well, don't call me bad. It is absolutely desirable to intensify the use of green oils, biodegradable oils, less flammable oils, oils with a good CO2 footprint, and so on. But all equipment manufacturers, not only we, but also the transformer manufacturers, bushing manufacturers, manufacturers of accessories and instrument transformers, they have a lot invest to qualify all these new liquids, and this leads to the situation that each equipment manufacturer designs his own test procedure because the current standards do not provide them. These standards, they do not cover all liquid properties which determine the performance of the equipment. They only determine the some properties of the liquid itself, but not how it interacts with the equipment.
So part of the problem is that I think I read that you said this, or you stated this, that the standards for the alternative liquids were created based on transformer mineral oil standards. So it's not like they were specifically created. The standards were created for something that's been used in transformers for years. So what's the difference when you're using alternative fluids, when you're developing standards?
Yeah, well, detected that, and not only we, also academic researchers have revealed that these alternative liquids, especially now focusing on esters, they show significantly different properties when it comes to the dielectric properties, like the streamer breakdown properties. They are significantly different. And in combination with the complex insulating arrangements which you find in a transformer or a tap changer, this leads to a different dielectric strength. And and another thing which is very important for tap changers, this is the viscosity range, lubrication things, and these things. Oxidation stability is different. We must take account on that. So in the US, most of the transformers are sealed, but not in the rest of the world. So, but when you want to use natural ester, then you must rethink how to seal the transformer and tap changer as well.
I want to just follow a little bit with Trent. You said lubrication, because we don't think of that in transformers. I don't think it needs lubrication, but it's an important part of what the liquid does. It's not just dielectric like it is in a transformer. It has to have lubrication qualities. You mentioned viscosity, you mentioned oxidation. Talk a little bit about the lubrication need for these alternative fuels.
Yeah, what we need, and well, this has been all equipment or all tap changers have originally been designed for mineral oils. This is where it works and where all the mechanism has been optimized to. But now, when it comes to very low viscous liquids, like we can have it in these bio-based hydrocarbons, they are they have a very low viscosity, and viscosity is connected to the lubricating behavior. Not directly, but it has a certain influence. And when the viscosity is too low, then the lubricating properties can be insufficient, so that we get functional problems in the switching sequence of the tap changer.
So now we have a complexity that is there, but there's other complex situations that you got to think about, the sludge and soot and arc quenching and all of the other things. Talk a little bit about a different, I don't even want to say standard, because we should have standards, but it's a different application requirement of the alternative fluids. Talk a little bit about that when you look at, you've already talked about lubrication, but talk about this idea of, I call it sludge, I think you call it soot, but we've got to eliminate that, because when you open up a tap changer, and I've seen many of them when they open up, it's just a mess on the bottom of that
It is a
tap
mess,
changer.
yes.
Yeah. So talk about the mess and
Yeah.
how do we prevent it?
So, and it becomes even worse if you run these tap changers, these old arc breaking Nanoil tap changers, if you run them with ester liquids. So the viscosity is somewhat higher, so which means that the arc is not cooled so directly, so efficiently like it is in mineral oil. So the arc burns is somewhat longer, produces more soot, and ester liquids, well, they also may produce some gases which are not desirable. Let it say let it say me that way. So if you do some maintenance on these tap changers, you should provide a good venting, so that some possibly toxic gases can come out. So this is what happens when you have a pyrolytic degradation of ester liquids. So that's not so easy. So, and this is the reason why Rheinhausen claims do not use ester liquids in combination with arcing tap changers. Only use the vacuum type tap changers. There it works fine. We have no soot production, no carbonizing of the oil, so no potentially toxic byproducts. So that's fine.
Let's just call it no bad things, right? No unintended consequences. I want to move to something. So you've stated pretty clearly what the problem is, and I honestly don't believe most of the market understands that, and specifiers. So we're going to talk about different segments. So the people that make the fluids, the alternative fuel, and you said you're not quite sure why each country is different. It's called politics, okay? Each country has its own thing, and somebody tells the politicians who tell the regulators who tell the manufacturers. So that's why
Okay.
it's that way. But what should or what can liquid manufacturers do? The people that make these alternative fluids.
Yeah, they should take into account let's say, elaborated requirements. It is not only insulating, electrical insulation and cooling, but it is also these additional properties like which come from the depth changes. So this is an adequate viscosity range and also, yeah, compatibility with all existing materials and compatibility with the existing designs. Yeah. So it is always a good idea to develop something which is not too far away from that what is proven.
There's another point about that. A liquid, and you've kind of stated this before, but an alternative fluid manufacturer who is out trying to sell that to equipment, either to the specifiers at the utility or whoever's buying the transformer, what they need to do is ask questions,
Yes.
ask applications. How is this going to be used? What kind of a tap changer are going to be used? And then that way they can become consultants, if you will, how to use how we make the fluid that fits for your needs best. But they're not going to do that. Okay. What they're going to do is make a
Not
product.
now, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
try to sell
because
a product.
the awareness is not there, so they
Right.
are not aware of these issues. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why we're doing this, to make them
Yeah.
aware. Reinhausen is arguably the best at LTC manufacturing. You are ubiquitous, you're everywhere. But what you all have to do, and what can the transformer equipment manufacturers do, or must they do, given this alternative fluid difference?
Yeah, what we have learned from our meetings with transformer manufacturers is that they also have their own, all have their own test setups which represent their real arrangements. So the winding, paper wrap windings, and these things, and for these arrangements they have set up test setups. And they test it with AC or with lightning impulse, and they are quite similar to that what we do. And so it would be a good idea to bring them all together and to come up with or to agree on simple and practical setups and methods, um, develop model arrangements which are practically usable and which represent real insulating arrangement. The standards we have now for dielectric strength for breakdown voltage, the IEC 6156 and also for AC, and the also for lightning impulse, ASTM D3300 and so on, they are not sufficient because they only allow an estimate of the dielectric strength of the liquid, but not of the complete insulating arrangement.
They At the end of the day, the end user, the customer, that engineering group that says, "Hey, we need a transformer or a series of transformers, and we have to specify them." Okay, so what do you say to the end users in their specification projects that the electrical engineer is sitting in a room with no windows, and he's told to develop the specs, and he's down in the weeds developing. What can you tell him about what he needs to do, or she needs to do?
Yeah, it's not so easy. Maybe to encourage the liquid manufacturer to develop environmentally friendly liquids, which properties which are not too far away from that what we know from classic mineral oils.
That's it in a nutshell. Is like, if
Yeah,
this is like this, then make it like that. And that will force the alternative manufacturers to really, hey, find out what changes in viscosity do we have to do? Because I think, as you've stated, they can do that, but they just have to have a standard to go by, and without industry standards that are well developed, they're going to have to go by the specification standard that the end user uses.
Mhm.
That's what I want to, you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to end with this. We have an IEC standard, we have an ASTM standard, we have an IEEE standard. You're on the IEEE Transformer Committee, so it's your job, that committee's job. I'm going to challenge you all to have a working group to deal with some of this, but talk about what you are talking to the industry now. Your fellows in the Transformer Committee and your fellows at CGRE and IEC. Talk about what they can do in order to address this problem, because it's going to create greater problems down the road earlier, right? Much earlier, we're going to see problems that we did not expect, and people are going to go, well, it's because of the fluid. We should address them now. Talk to me about what the industry should do.
Yeah, what I'm currently doing, I'm working with the IEEE's C57.166, and there is I put an annex in. This is the combined liquid guide, which combines all the previous liquids guides for mineral oil, for synthetic, for natural esters, and high molecular weight hydrocarbons. I put it all together, and there is an annex in which puts the finger on these special issues, special requirements tap changes have. So this is one thing. Just to and yeah, this is what I like on the IEEE guys. They are very educative, and you can put these things in which you cannot in the ISC, at least not in this extent. So CGRE. CGRE could set up a working group, for example, where tap changer manufacturers, transformer, or other equipment manufacturers come together and develop and propose these test methods which allow an estimate on the performance of liquids. Recently, there was an ISC technical publication which collected all material standards coming around and defined what is good and what is missing in there. And this is a huge work. And usually CGRE is before an IEC standard, or lies the base for a new IEC standard or for a revision of an IEC standard. So yeah, I think that would be the best way to set up a new working group within CGRE to develop and propose test methods.
You mentioned IEEE and IEC and CGRE. How about ASTM? Is there anything that can be done there? Because you mentioned earlier that there's an ASTM standard, or are they just outliers?
And now the thing why I did not mention ASTM is because I'm not in the ASTM committees. I'm not working within ASTM, so I don't know what is going on there. I know that they have issued a new standard for synthetic esters finally, so that's fine. But what is going on there, I have no clue.
So we should find out if the new standard for synthetic esters aligns with the needs of the marketplace, which is what we've talked about this entire time. So they should be and could be part of the solution as well. Well, this has been a delight. Reiner, you are an expert. What did I call you at first? You were the expert at oils for load tap changers in the globe, in the world forever. That's your title now. Okay. But thank you for joining us, Reiner. This has been very informative. We will do some follow-up interviews on this because I'd like to find out more, and I'd like to use this and to help the industry come together. But thank you for sharing with us the problem and the solution for equipment manufacturers, the liquid manufacturers, for the end users, and for the industry. It's been delightful.
Thank you, Alan, for the opportunity to talk here.